What's up, fam? Man, hey, good to see you guys again. Um, man, I was off for. I've been sporadically on. I was doing pretty good, but this hot weather, man, has had me busy. I had a mechanical failure, electronic failure, and not complete failure, but my main converter that I use for mastering had to send it to Modesto. Modesto, California, to get repaired at Links Pro Audio out there. So I probably won't be back for a week. Hopefully next Friday. Anyway, there's some good news. With all of the craziness that's going on. I want to get into tonight. If you look at the title of my subject tonight, I'm actually going to get into this to walk you guys through some of the things that are going on. That it's a bipartisan bill that got passed. It's called the HITS Act, and you want to check that out. I got a link on there so you can read the law. I'm going to talk about the law, what I know about it thus far, and then if you have a CPA or something, you might want to get with them. Somebody break this down to you better. But it's pretty substantial. This guy named Damiza, I think it's Damm or Damizza. He used to be a DJ back in the day, and he did produce a bunch of records with Dr. Dre and a bunch of other people, some other artists. But anyway, I heard about it. It wasn't him that first posted it. I forgot. Somebody had posted it on social media. So I went and looked it up. And if people come on here tonight, I'm gonna take some time. I know it's late to talk about it. I did do a highlight, so maybe I get some people tagged that are still awake, that I can walk you through some advantages that this part of the bill. Actually, and this was developed, from what I understand, before this big beautiful bill thing. I think this thing initially came up in 2023 by a Democrat and a Republican senator. Brought this before Congress to allow this tax advantage for people that do what we do. And I'm going to break it down. I understand, look, I'm not a CPA, but I understand the tax laws. I do my own taxes. I do 5 corporate returns and our personal returns. So I do 6 tax returns a year. On my gear in here, there's 179 deductions, which is things like hardware that you use for your business, be it computers, be it software. Software has a different level of deduction. But hardware things that last over a year, you get a write-off. It's usually 179, and they give you so much of that you can write off on your deduction in the United States. So what I'm going to talk about tonight, though, is what I know is an advantage for you this year. Now, this thing, it was in position, already in place, I didn't know this, for movies, sound production, not sound production, it was in thing for film and stage productions, where they had so much of write-off, and some of it was like $20 million, $15 million, or something like that. But, in a stage production, you got lighting, you got these venues, you got a whole bunch of things you got to go through. You got semi-trucks to move your stuff around all over the world, or if you got different productions going on at the same time. So, and here I'm going to give you a really good clean-cut window. There is a $150,000 100% tax deduction. So if you, in 2025, and I don't know how long, this thing said 25, 26, I don't know if it's 2 years it's going to last. If you want to record, and I'm going to say the best record you've ever done, and you have some money to invest, or also you can borrow money, you can use a credit card, okay? With businesses, you can use a credit card and deduct what you put on your credit card for this business. Now, I'm going to tell you, you set yourself up for some illegal stuff if you start putting junk on that's not part of your music production and you don't have proof of it. You get audited, you have to pay for it, you're going to get fined, you're going to pay penalties and interest if you get caught later. So be straight up honest. I'm telling you, because I guarantee you, by them doing this, there's going to be some scrutiny that'll come out in the tax code, which we probably won't see until October, November. Because I use TurboTax business for corporations, and I use TurboTax Deluxe for my personal return for me and my wife, and then a state return comes with that. So I just want to explain it. I'm going to give you a good example. If you are a working artist, which means you have a job, and let's use some I'll use a calculator. Let's use some numbers that are maybe realistic. So say if you let's say if you have let me go get this calculator. Let's say if you made, let's use a number like 60,000. Say if you made 60,000, right? And at $60,000, your tax percentage is probably like 28% or so. So say if you paid 28% in federal tax times 0.28. This is not including your FICA. This is only the federal income tax you pay, not your Social Security. So say if so go 60,000, all right, 60,000 times 0.28. That's 16,800 minus 60,000. That puts your net income at 43,200 that you bring home out of 60, if you're in a 28% tax. That's without 401k, all that. I'm just using straight up numbers. So you get $16,000 that you paid in the federal tax, okay? And that's just a guess. And that's with, say if you have single zero or something, or single and pay a little more. You pay 16,000. What was the number again? Let's go 60,000. I should have put them up on my other screen, which I can't do that. I think I will do that right quick. Let me do that for you. Let's jump over here and let's go 60,000. I'm going to bring up a calculator on here. And let's go here. 60,000. So you can see the numbers. I want you to get this. And I should have did it in a spreadsheet. But let's go 60,000. Like I said again. So you made 60,000. And you pay 0.28% on your 60,000, 16,800. And that's if you're working and you have a job, okay? If you have a job and you take money, say out of your 43,000 left, and say if you put together a group, I'm not suggesting that, but you can do that. You can set up a corporation or LLC. A S corp means you're going to be making, if you were making like 100,000 plus or even more, you could do an S corp because you get some more tax advantages there when everybody's taking a salary from the company. Okay, so if you have people that were part of your corporation and they're drawing a salary, then you want to do the S corporation thing. LLCs have worked great for me, and so in the end, what they do when you go through your 1040 form, if you're doing itemized deductions, when you put all your deductions in, what's left to be taxed is your adjusted gross income. Like if you get write-offs for your children, for so many children you have, you get so many $1,000, they reduce that off your gross income. So if your gross income so let's do it. If your gross income was 60,000 again, let's reduce this number quite a bit. Let's do some things. You know what? I'm going to put up something else. Because I want us to look at this, and I'm going to key myself in so you can see me in the back of the corner. But you got me on the screen here. Let's put up, I'm going to use just a word text editor. And let's use gross. Let's do this. Gross, make the numbers thing a little bit bigger. Just want to walk you through what the advantage is going to be. So if you don't do this now, go get your LLC like next week. Start in your state, wherever you live. Work under this. That's gross income. And this is, if you're a gigging musician, that's all you live off of. But I'm going to do this as somebody that's possibly has another job and doing this kind of thing. Gross income. We're going to go taxable, federal tax. Federal, because this doesn't go for your city. Tax rate. All right. And then we're going to put that at 28%. And then we're going to go tax total federal, let's go federal tax liability, estimated, I'm going to go estimated liability, T-by. All right. So if we put gross income, and I said we're going to use 60,000, right? Let's go up here. Use $60,000. All right. If your tax rate is 28%, that means what you got to do. Put a colon here instead of. You got to go. Here we go. 28%, and it's gonna, which is we're gonna put your liability. So it's gonna be, I'll put it in parentheses so you can see it. It's gonna be 60,000. All right, $60,000 times 0.28%, and then we're gonna go equals. Let me get some spaces in there so it won't look so cluttered. Times 0.28%. That's 20% of your income. Just taking that as a guess that what your tax burden might be. Equals. All right, and we looked at that number, 16,000 something, but let's do it right here. 60,000 times 0.028. Nope, not 0.028. Sorry, 0.28. I could just multiply, but let's do that. 60,000 times 0.28. $16,800, okay? So you get 16,800 is your federal tax. All right. So I'm gonna call it, and I'm gonna copy that and paste it down here. So this is what they take out of your check, all right? So if you paid $60,800 on your tax liability, then let's go look at your ABC. I'm gonna call it hypothetically ABCD LLC. Okay, this is the name of your company, and I'm gonna, this hypothetical is a company name. All right, and my company name, and let's call it. You see LLC. It's got ABCD. If you want to call it Productions, okay, let's do that. You can call it whatever. And you take, let's do recording. So you go in the studio, and you're gonna do EP, and you're gonna do 5 songs. And say each song you go in, and I'm gonna itemize everything. Say you're just the singer, all right? You're the singer, and we're gonna go in, and I'm gonna tab these. So you get a producer you work with, right? And we're gonna say your producer. Put an asterisk, producer, fee per song. So if the producer says, I want to work with you, we're going to do all legitimate contracts and everything, and the producer's out of your recording for, let me put this, let's go 4 song EP. I'm just going to use 4 for now. And say, producer says, well, I'll work with you, but for each song I work on, I'm going to need, let's say hypothetically, he says, I need 2,000 a song, 2,000 per song. All right. So he says 2,000 a song. Then he says, and producer wants, no, let's do this hypothetically. Producer wants, producer points on the record per song. We'll do that, and it'll say points per song. He wants 5%. So let's do 10% just to keep the numbers round. 10%. And let's use it on a per unit sold, per unit. And I'm going to do stream, just hypothetically. All right. So now, what else you got? So he's doing this, producer, but the producer has musicians he wants to bring in for you. And let's make it live. Say he's got, let's use this. Let's use a drummer. All right, he brings in a drummer. This is per song, and you might use different drummers, even if it's different drummers. Let's go per song. Drummer says, "Okay, I'll come in the studio and do the session for $200. All right, per song. Okay. Then tab, and you're gonna contract. You're gonna be doing contracts with each one of these people that participate in this art with you. Then you got a keyboard player, or and this is what you agree to or set up the agreement. The keyboard player said, "I'll come in and play per song." Keyboard player wants, say he says 200. I'll do it for $200 a song. Now this is where all these other things I'll get into later. I just should copy that, shouldn't I? I'll just copy it next time. Song. So let me just copy this per song stuff. All right, copy. And then you got, let's go background vocalist. So using background, say if you're the singer or rapper, background vocalist, right? Vocalist. Say if you use three different, you use a soprano, alto, tenor. And I'm gonna go this. Let's go here. Let's go here. And I'm gonna tab. I'm gonna tab again. And I'm gonna go soprano. Just do it this so you can see what goes into this. Alto. If you don't have the same person do it. And then we're gonna go tenor. And their rate is, say they'll do it for $150 a song. Okay, let's go 150 per song is 150. 150. We're gonna add this all up so you can see what it looks like. All right, and I'll just copy this. Copy. Let's come down here. So the alto person, they said I'll do it for $150 a song. Then the tenor says, I'll do it for $150. Because with singers now, I mean, they sing the hook, you get it tight, and then you copy it and put the hook wherever else you want to have it. Unless you want them to do some other contrapuntal rhythms, fancy things you want to do, and that may cost you more. But I'm just using these are all estimated numbers I need to put this, probably on the top of this thing. All right, this is just a sample. And I'm going to put this, I'm going to call it sample project cost right at the top of this. So anybody jumps on here will see that and not think it's something that, this is, let's say, hypothetical, because I don't want anybody to think this is mine. I got different ways I do things. Hypothetical project. Music project costs. All right. Sample. All right. I said hypothetical. I'm going to make it big. I'm going to make it red. Because I just like I said, I want to make sure, people, hey, man, this is what he charges. So let's make this red. Find red. Where's red? Let's go red right there. And we're going to make it in the center. And I'm going to even make it bigger. All right. Cost sample. Okay, so now we got 4-song project. We got a drummer, got a keyboard player, background vocalist. Let me put this, and I'm going to copy this right here. And I'm going to do this. Because this is like, you're going to do a full project, right? I mean, a full band thing. Tab, and let's go. And this is going to be your bass player. Bass player. I already had player in there. And we're going to take, and we're going to do tab. And we're going to have your guitar player. T-U-I-T-R player. And this is all of your musicians. I plan on taking full advantage of this while working on my project. Yeah, I'm a jam. This is up, Brock Major. This is what we need to do. So we got a guitar player, so if you got a drummer, keyboard player, bass player, And this could be different keyboard players, all right? And I'm using, for musicians, I'm using $200 per song. So remember, you're going to do 4 songs, right? So times 4, all right, times 4 songs. All right, and 4 songs. And this equals, let's go, it's going to be equals a total of $800. All right, you got $800. This guy, I'm just going to copy them all down, right? I'm going to total all this up. You guys are probably beating me. I'm just, so if you can screenshot my page and you can see this, right? 800, and we got another 800. In the background vocalist, we got to go times 4. We're going to change this to, yeah, we got 150 times 4, which is 600, right? 600, 4, 600. I need to just copy this, right? Let me go times 4, 600. Oops, right here. Copy this. Copy that. Times 4, 600. Copy this times 4, 600. Gotta change this to 600. All right. So now we got these numbers, and this is for the guy is saying he wants, producer wants $2,000 a song though. And this times 4. All right, 2,000 times, that's $8,000, right? 8,000. Okay. And I want you to get this, all right? How this is going to work out for you if they haven't done something weird with the write-offs. And this is all going to be what the law says. So the company name, hypothetically, is ABCD Productions LLC. So you get your LLC, you get a bank account, get a business, get your EIN, or employee identification number, employee. So if you see this later in my video, identification number from IRS. You get that from the IRS, you can get that right away. LLC you get from your state. Get register LLC with your state. And you can check in on whatever your state, how they do it. They do it different in different places. So now you got your LLC going, and all of that. So let's get these totals together. So total, let's do this. Let's go total costs. And I'm just going to add them all up in the row, and I'll put them right here. Producer fee, producer fee. All right, equals 8,000. Let's just copy these numbers. So I don't have to type them all. Copy the 8,000, copy that. It's 8,000. And then we got 800. So for the drummer, the musicians, all right, you got 8, 16, 24, 3,200. All right. And you go musicians. Let's go get it over here. Put equals. I'm gonna put that closer. Equals 3,200. $3,200. Put my comma in there so it'll look like money. 3,200, and then we got singers, 612, 1,800. So I'm gonna go vocalists. Equals space 1,800. My $sign in there. So you got 32, got 8,000, 11,200 plus 12,000. It's like 13,000, right? So remember, and then I'll put total. It's gonna be clear. Let's go 8,000 plus 3,200 plus 1,800 13,000. Okay, 13,000. This is like your first EP. So if you do a couple of them, 13,000. That's not including marketing or anything like that. So say if you did a 4-song EP, and these were your costs, $13,000, and you got up to 150. So you can do video. So say let's throw a video in here. Let's throw a video. Let's go video for each song. So let's go video times 4 songs. It's gonna put it on YouTube or something, and we're gonna say at the video I'm gonna go, say if it was $1,200 each total cost, $1,200 per song. So let's go, and then maybe more, depends on who you're using, per song. And let's put that total cost. And I got videos, OS. And we're going over here to equals. What I said, $1,200. That's $4,800. All right, $4,800 plus 13,000. Now this is 17,800. 17,800. Oops, dang, I messed it up. Total. TAL is $17,800. So if you spend $17,800, but you work, all right, or you and your wife work, gross income up at the top. Remember we got this. Just bold that. That's how much your gross income. I'm gonna put from employer. That's because I'm saying you're working somewhere. All right. And this is your total expenses. Total project expenses. You know what I forgot? I got producer fee. We got recording studio fee. Let me put that. We don't have that in here. So it's going to go way up. Recording, mixing, mastering. Get it all in here. All right, let's go equal. So recording, I'm going to estimate this. These are all my estimated numbers per song. Say if it took you with your band and you spent, if you could track a full song in a 10-hour day. And like me, I charge $60 an hour. So say, let's use $75 an hour at a major studio. Something that's got everything you need, keyboards and plugins, whatever you need. But say you go in the studio, and even if you're working on ideas, you're paying a producer a fee. But if you got a studio rate to pay too, we're gonna put that at $75. 75 times 10, that's $750 a song. 750 times 4 is 3,000. All right, and we're gonna go recording times 4 songs. I got $3,000. So if it costs $3,000 to record, right? And then mixing, let's say you're mixing, if you're dealing with me or somebody else, for me, you're gonna pay me, depends on how many tracks you have in your song. If it's this many, with all this vocals, you're probably gonna have upwards of 16, which my rate is going to be like $280, which is cheap. And let's use 300. Let's use 300 for a mix. And then the total times 4 is gonna be 1,200. Mastering per song, let's use $100. These are estimates. I'm a little lower than that. Let's say if it was $100, you got $400. This is just a 4-song EP, but you could do a couple of these. Now we got to add up our total again because I added all these other numbers in here. So let's go 8,000 plus 3,200, right? Plus 1,800. Oops, 1,800 plus 4,800 plus 3,000 plus 1,200 plus 400. It's $22,400. All right, so you spent $22,400. So I'm just estimating because for them to come up with 150,000, I don't think I'm way off on this. But say if it costs you 22,400 for everything I got in this thing, or maybe I'll make this a PDF and post it in my post as a hypothetical music project cost sample. And it doesn't mean that it's in my studio. Okay, so and then you're gonna do all your legal. I'm gonna say firstly, before you do anything, cover, cover all legal contracts, copyright, and publishing prior to starting project. And you should be able to do this. And what happens sometimes, and I'm just be honest with you, sometimes in the middle of it, if you have one of these musicians comes up with a good idea, then you should be giving them points on the record. That's what I do. If I bring somebody in, they have an idea that's significant change to the record or add addition to the record, then they should get points on the record, be it 2%, 1%, 5%, whatever you agree to. So they came up with 150,000, and I see why. Remember, I said a 4-song EP. So this is only 4 songs. Say if you did another 4 songs, you'd be at what? 44, and let's divide it by 4. So 22,400 divided by 4. It should come out even number. That's $5,600 a song. And I'll say, or 5,600. 5,600 per song. Okay, and I actually don't think this is a bad price for getting something top-notch commercial that you're doing. Okay, so if you did a 10-song project, if you're going to do like a whole album, 10 songs or 4 different EPs, at 22,400. No, I'm sorry. You're going to do 10 songs would cost you 5,600. So if you did 56,000, I'm sorry. 10 songs. Yeah, so 5,000, 56,000 at 10 songs. That's with everything completely done. And then you do that twice, times 2, 56,000. I could do this in my head. I just want you to see it. That's $112,000. So I can see why they possibly came up with these numbers. You know, basically you're saying, and at that 111,000, even if you financed it. But let's go back to this. Just use the EP. We're going to use the EP numbers. All right. So I'm going to put this in italicized. So italicized. If you did the EP with a full band, you got a production where you want a full band, these numbers are going to drop off. Your vocalist may not drop off. Your musicians might drop off if you're not using a full band. And then the recording process, I would say, wouldn't change. Not necessarily your mixing, definitely wouldn't change, and all this other stuff. And your producer fee for 4 songs probably wouldn't change. Okay, so if you did that now we're at the end of the year. Remember we said your gross income was $60,000. What's going to happen is you're going to take your gross income minus the project total expenses, right? Equals this number. So it's going to be gross income. It's going to be $60,000, thousand. All right, this is how it's going to work. Let me just show you how this works out to your advantage. If you do something, it doesn't have to even be this amount. You don't know what you're going to come up with. 60,000 minus your project total cost, which I said was $22,400. That equals 6,000 minus 22,400. I can do it in my head, but let's do it like it's 60,000 minus 22,400. That's 37,600. All right, because 37,000. Let me show you how this works. 37,000. 37,000, comma $600. All right, now. So this say if this is your not even including. Now I'm gonna say this is not including like what you would get for your child credit, which might be $3,000 a kid. These are all things that we get write-offs to adjust your gross income, right? So if you got children, if you have, I think interest on the state. No, I think interest on your mortgage is on your 1040. So if you have interest on your home and all that. So let's say allowable, and then I'm going to say 37,000, and let's say minus other allowable deductions. All right, and let's just take it down. Let's put it down here. I'm going to keep 37, but I'm gonna copy this. Copy 37,000 because I'm going to show you how this works out. This is why businesses do what they do. If you don't understand the tax code, so you got $37,600, and then let's go minus all allowable deductions. All right, so let's say the minus all the deductions. Say if that number was 36,000, and I'm gonna say your allowable deductions. This is hypothetical again, you guys. I'm gonna take that. We're gonna put a number in here. Let's say if hypothetically 37,000, and this allowable deduction was the other things you have with. Say if you had 2 kids, like I do, and you got 3,000 kids, so that's another 6,000 off. You got interest. Say if you got, you get a percentage of your interest. Say if it was, just say hypothetically 5,000. So that's 2 kids. So I say 6,000. It's 11,000. So additional 11,000, just hypothetically. You got additional minus 11,000. This is how your tax works, man. Minus $11,000. Okay. Equals what? 37,600. Let's go back to my calculator. Minus $11,000. If you got that, now you're at $22,600. No, $22,600. Remember, how much did your project cost? Remember? $22,400. So now, check this, man. And I'm going to say this is your adjusted, federal adjusted gross income. Adjusted gross income. I want you guys to get this, man. Remember, you get to write off 100% of this song. And you're in a 28% tax bracket up here, right? 28% tax bracket. Make that big, bold. So you're going to pay taxes after you do when you're doing your tax return. Your 28% now is on this amount that you paid in federal tax and all these deductions. Your income now is down to $22,600. All right, 22,000, comma, what is 600? 22,600 is what your adjusted gross income is, and then you spent 22,400 minus 22,400. 100% deduction, you're going to be taxed on $200. That means that $16,800, you're going to get back you're going to get $16,000, possibly $16,600 back in a tax return. This is why some of these people who are in government go crazy about the tax code. This is why some of these multi-billionaires are complaining, because some people, though, not everybody, but a lot of people do this kind of thing, and they go buy yachts and they buy mansions and they call them meeting places, and they name them something that they don't get hunt down for, and sometimes it can be illegal. They use it to have parties on, and they write off the party, and so they write off this $5 million yacht. Now remember, go look at what they've been talking about in Congress with some of these people have been paying their tax rate. Okay, so at $200, all right, if you had to pay tax on $200 out of your $60,000 divided by $60,000, this is going to give you your tax rate. All right, $60,000 equals 0.003, 0.3%. That's what one stream costs. I didn't do this on purpose, but good gosh, that's exactly. You get 0.003 cents per stream. Oh my God. I wasn't trying to do this. That's crazy. I was not trying to do this, but that's what it comes out to. Oh my gosh. You'd be paying 0.03 of a penny of a percent, 0.03 of a percent, or 0.3%, which is 0.003, on your money. Because you get taxed on your adjusted gross income when they do this. That's how the adjustments work. So, and any CPAs on here that saw that I may have missed something, you can chime in and let me know what you think about this or whatever. But I am really blown away at what we have. Let me make sure I'm still on. Yeah, I'm still on. I'm still on, man. Hopefully you guys get something out of this. I'm going to save this as a PDF. Let me get back over here. And I wish I could make it downloadable. Dang. I don't know how I can make it downloadable so you guys can just get the idea. But that's how this works. So by the government giving us this ability to write off $150,000, it says 25 and 26. I don't know if it's only for 2 years or how they're going to do it. I really believe it's going to be scrutinized, because some people are going to look at this and say, I can lie and say I bought this, and you got to have that. If you get audited, I'm telling you now, you better have receipts. You better have names. If you dealt with people you hired, because when you do, I use TurboTax, and in this thing, if you hired this guy for $8,000, you're going to issue him a 1099. All right, that's going to be your legit way. He gets a 1099 that you paid him $8,000. Like the people that made $600, I think $600 or less, you don't have to give anybody a 1099. But where you paid this one person the $8,000, you're going to have to give them a 1099. The musicians that you pay $800 a piece, you may have to 1099 them the $800, but I think the threshold is $600, and it may be higher. So whatever the threshold for 1099 payments that you have to file, you have to send that to the IRS. And TurboTax, you do all that, and it'll all go to the IRS. I'm telling you guys, if you're scared to do taxes, if you use TurboTax, and I'm not an advocate, I don't work for TurboTax, but I've been using them since 2001, and my wife and I have been audited twice from no fault of our own. And I'm not going to go through the rabbit hole about the CPA we had that got in trouble for over 800 fictitious tax returns for rapid refund and scamming the government out of like $800. It was like, $690 to $800 per client, in the tune of $2.4 million over like 3 years, because he had a whole bunch of clients and got caught, and it was all on him. Nobody else went to jail for it. He just was scamming people. So anyway, Read the links that I set up. Go to the links, download it for yourself. If you know somebody that's an accountant or a CPA, chat with them about it. But I would not wait on getting LLC. Doesn't cost you anything. If you get an LLC though, you need to file a return. If you use TurboTax, you buy the tax. Yeah, I think like my daughter. I think if it's only one member of the LLC, you can do that in your personal return and include that. If there's more than one person, like my wife and I are part of our LLCs and the S corp, so I have to file a separate return for each one. But this is just a breakdown of how this works, man. How this works, and for the music industry in 2025, this is incredible. I wish I would had to do a bunch of records for myself and had to spend money on upgrading gear to do a production. Now it doesn't say that you hardware. Now 179 deduction, okay? There is a 179 deduction that may not be a part of this, and that's the thing. When I was reading through it, it says production costs. That means, if you record somewhere, if you do X, Y, Z, I don't know if it includes if you buy hardware to record yourself. And that's something the IRS, because that language isn't in there. However, when you look at the language, it's going to give you like paragraph 170, 81, one something. If you read all of that stuff I told you, you go to these other paragraphs in the bills that have been filed. It talks about all the things that are involved from a soundstage and TV production, film production, and it's quite costly. It's a lot more money, but they agreed to do this, and this all popped off because of COVID. Many of us couldn't work. Many major artists, they couldn't tour. Studios were closed because of the pandemic, just to keep people alive. And then it really, a lot of people got hurt financially because a lot of people that were recording, they were just transferring files to one another. Then you had people that were great singers, but they didn't own a DAW, or they didn't have a nice microphone that they can record a quality recording to send to somebody else to put on a record. That was the hard part during COVID. So anyway, hey, I'm gonna get off, and I hope, man, you guys, if this was good for you, got some good information, please let me know that. Save those links, follow them. I'm gonna see if I could take this and go file. I'm gonna export it as a PDF, and I'm gonna call it 2025 project sample write-off. I'm gonna put Fed tax write-off, and put all this on here. Write-off example. Put today's date is 07. What's the date? 11. Now it's 11 2025. So I'll save that. I'll see if I can post it so you guys can get it. I guess I probably could set it up on my website, and you can download it there if you want it. But you can go back and watch this. You can see the numbers and go through the things yourself, and as you're listening to me. But anyway, I saved it. If you guys want to get another quick glance at it, I'll take you here. But your adjusted gross income now is $22,600, because with your allowable deductions, you got $60,000 minus the $22,000, leaves you $37,600, minus all your other allowable deductions, whatever they might be. I just hypothetically said $11,000 gets you down to $22,600. That is why, if you don't have a business, that doesn't make you a bad person. But if you have something you like to do or love to do, you should try to make money with it, and you should try to set up an LLC and do it as a side thing. You can call it a hobby, but you still can make money with it and write off things. I remember years and years ago, people were buying land to build homes on, and then they planted a bunch of trees. It said they started a tree farm. So they wrote off like tractors, equipment, because they were going to build a barn. Wrote off all the stuff for the barn. So I was young. I was a young kid. I'm in my 20s, early 20s. And guys were doing that. I was like, how you doing that? I'm starting a tree farm. So the tree farm got all wrote off under the farm, whatever the laws were back then. And I didn't understand this until our CPA that, went rogue after being very, very successful. When he did that, I learned so much about the tax code, though. And when we had the audit, I learned more. Me and my wife had did everything legit. I had every receipt from every month by date. So if we went to June, we got audited in 2000 for 98, and I had like January 98 from January 1st all the way. So when he went through my receipts, he didn't have to dig through a pile. I had them all together, stapled, paper clipped together, in order, and all he had to do was okay. And he was surprised when we were doing this. When he took our stuff out, he was like, "Wow, you got everything?" I said, "Everything's in order." So he goes through and he's adding everything up. Then we gets done. He was like, "Wow, looks like your CPA missed like $400 you had coming." I was like, "What?" He said, "Yeah." So all of this, he's tallying up these extras per thing. Like we got maintenance, we had repairs, we had equipment, we had the maintenance people that we hired. And then for my wife, her salary, when you are an S corporation, the salary that you take is 100% deduction on your company. The taxes, it's pretty deep, man. I learned so much. I should have tagged her. Thanks to Lisa Banks, too. She is a professor at Mott College, also CPA. And my CPA and her taught me so much stuff, me and my wife both. That if I get in something deep right now, I will call her and try to pay her to even give me a consult, even if it's a phone conversation. But anyway, hopefully you guys got something out of this. If you don't have a business, you should be thinking about it. All of my musician buddies and women, if you're thinking about doing a project 2025, and I believe 2026, you need to do it. Whatever you invest in it is going to be 100% write-off. Everything goes towards your production. So that means start paying with the check, paying with the credit card, something that you can pull records that you're, even if you're doing it with, say the person you're going to wants cash. Then you want cash, tell them you need a receipt before you give them the cash, or you write out a receipt, have them sign it for what you're paying them. Because you may need proof of this, because it's probably going to throw some red flags like, I can write off $150,000. Well, I'm going to say I bought this. I'm going to go buy a car and say it was part of my production. So you go buy a $60,000, no, an $80,000, $90,000 Mercedes and say, oh, it's part of my music production. And then when you go get audited, they're going to say, where are your receipts? You got, oh, I bought a car. What's that for, a music video? You know what I'm saying? So anyway, just be sincere, because there's nothing to fear about the IRS. I really learned that when I went through all that stuff that we went through. And it really wasn't all that. It was one day, a few hours. And at the end, sincerely, this guy looked at our tax records, at everything we had done, hadn't done anything illegal, but signed, because we signed the rapid refund form that had the fictitious numbers under our W-2s were stamped on there, because we had already took care of the tax return. Those are sealed in the envelope and paid, and our CPA gave us the stamps, everything. All we had to do was drop it in the box, because we had got the rapid refund form, but you got to mail in your forms or send them electronically. At the time, it was mail in. And I don't know if he was doing that for a lag with the IRS. I don't know what that was, but it was all paid for, and we just had to go drop that stuff in the box. So, and then we had our copies. But anyway, don't be afraid of them guys, man, especially if you got your stuff together. Save your receipts. Now, there's a guy, Randy Lane, I think he's a CPA. He's commented like years, he would look at my post. He said, Randy, you need to get a scanner. And because I've been audited, you can get a scanner. Now, some of you may not be as diligent as me and a bunch of other people are about making a copy of your hard drive. You scan into your hard drive, and your hard drive fails, and you burn or throw away all those receipts, and you get audited, and you don't have any proof. You could pull up your, if you did everything on a card, you could pull that back. But if you did a lot of people are cash people. You do like 70% of it in cash. You have no proof because you threw your receipts away. and then it's a word of mouth. They ain't gonna believe you. You got to have it in writing. So that's why I keep paper copy. Like Randy Lane, I should scan them though, just in case the house burned down. And I do have a hard drive in our what do you call that thing at the bank? Not the safe. It's called a safe deposit box. If you got a hard drive in there with your stuff on in the bank, it didn't burn down. You can go grab that and have your records. Anyway, I'm gonna sign off, man. I didn't mean to stay on here this long. I always say that. This is really important. 2025. Get ready to do your project. Come see me. Hey, I'll help you. I'll record it. I'll mix and master it. Hey, Riri. Yeah, you're doing music, Riri. You need to, if you weren't on during this whole thing, as long as I've been on, which is okay, go back and watch it. Share with all your friends, all your singers and your rapper friends, your producer friends, because this is the year which most people right now have a job. Hey, Riri, they have a job, and they're using the money they make from the job to pay for their production. So, Riri, if you're doing that, this year, if whatever you spend gets deducted off your gross income. And what it's going to do for a lot of people, they're going to get back some huge tax returns. And believe me, I know. Me and my wife both, before I retired, I was making a lot of money at General Motors, paying a lot of federal tax between her and I. And our tax returns were huge. They were huge. We got the write-offs with our businesses, her salary with the S Corp, 100% write-off, our tax 100% write-off, and then my equipment that I buy, 100%, well, I forget, I don't think it was 100, but equipment hardware, I get 179 deduction, which would allow you to deduct, this is what 179 deductions do. I meant to talk about this, I will on another one. 179 is for your hardware stuff, computers, etc. You can deduct up to the amount of money you make. So say, and that's the good thing about this law. I can find it on your post before this. Yes, yeah, you can read. If you make $50,000 and you spend, with credit cards or get a loan and spend $60,000 equipment, all you can write off is the $50,000. And then if you want to take the $50,000, but you got $10,000 more that you spend on equipment. Say you spend $60,000, but you only made $50,000. The other $10,000 has to get divided over 7 years. They amortize it over 7 years, and you get a little bit of deduction until it's all going over 7 years. So that's why this $150,000. Now I don't know if it includes hardware. Don't lie about it. I'm just telling you right now. Don't say Randy told you to lie about buying gear, hardware stuff, saying that's part of your music thing, because that may still be under 179 deduction. I think this bill is called the 761. I don't know what the IRS line code. It's on that link though. Let me see if I can see it though. Let me see if I can see it since I got it. Since I have it on my post. I can't see my post link. Yeah, on my live. Can I? Oh yeah, I can copy it. Let's go. I'm gonna go to this one. Yeah, the bill is 761. And then there's a 119, 194. That's the PDF. Yeah, so the bill looks like it's 119th Congress bill, 761. Okay. Yeah, but anyway, check those two links out, and then you can read about. You'll see one there. It'll be these little things when you look at subject. It'll say text. And then you can download the text and read it. And it's deep, tax code stuff. But you can ask a CPA or an accountant or the person that's going to do your taxes, because they're gonna all get this law if they have entertainment clients. And even if they don't, they should have to learn it because they may get somebody. So anyway, hey, thanks for signing on, you guys. I appreciate everybody. Yeah, I got records coming out. Marilyn Brown's got a new record coming out called I'm Sorry. I think her other singles out. Joe Brown and J Maz have a new record coming out soon. DJ Updo, I did a record for him. Mix and mastered. Actually, a mix and mastered. What else? I got quite a few things that just hit and are going to hit Spotify. What else? Apple Music and all the other streaming services. It's all right. Thanks again. I'm here. My name's Randy Seal from Reflective Production and Recording. If you're on here, you already know that. I'm available for recording, mixing, and mastering. And I guarantee you, you will not be less than satisfied. And you will be more than satisfied with my work. With that, I'm going to sign out. You guys have a good night and God bless. Thank you for coming.